Chapter 11. The garden was alive with whispers of leaves and the quiet song of wind weaving through its tangled beauty. Morning light dappled the earth, a soft warmth under Krystos's feet. He stood in its center, steadying his breath, as Layla's presence loomed just beyond the edge of his vision. "Air is freedom, Krystos," Layla said, her voice steady and clear. She leaned against her staff, the light catching the golden patterns etched into her crimson robes. "But freedom requires discipline, or else it scatters like smoke. Begin again. Find your center." Krystos exhaled slowly, his heartbeat a drumbeat against the silence. Air was movement, invisible yet vital. Layla's words rang in his head. Freedom requires discipline. He stretched his arms outward. His fingers relaxed, feeling the faintest stirrings of the wind. It circled him like an unseen dance, spiraling up from the earth. He thought of nothing but its pull, its currents. Feel it, but do not chase it. Invite it to carry you. Krystos focused. The winds thickened, growing stronger, brushing his hair across his face. He felt lighter. His toes began to lift off the ground. Slowly, gently, he rose into the air, weightless. A gasp escaped his lips. Above the garden, the world seemed different, silent, reverent. The trees stretched toward him, and the earth fell away beneath his floating form. He extended his arms, letting the air hold him, lift him higher. Layla watched from below, her stern face softening with quiet approval. "Good, you've begun to trust it." For a moment, Krystos forgot himself. He let out a laugh, spinning his body with a flick of his hands. The air obeyed, carrying him in smooth arcs, a playful rhythm. It felt like flying, like he was free from everything that had ever weighed him down. But then it came, a flicker of warmth. It started small, a subtle tingling in his fingertips. His focus faltered, and the air trembled around him. Panic surged in his chest, and the winds began to collapse. His arms flailed. Heat, flames shot from his hands, unbidden and wild, like a beast breaking free. "No!" The fire lashed outward, hungry and bright. It struck the branches of an ancient willow, igniting its leaves. Sparks scattered through the air like falling stars. Krystos fell. The winds abandoned him, and he hit the ground hard, his knees slamming into the dirt. Smoke swirled in the garden, and flames devoured the trees. Layla stepped forward, her face carved from stone. She raised her staff, slamming its base into the earth. A gust of wind roared through the garden, snuffing out the fire in an instant. Silence fell. The air hung heavy with the scent of ash. Krystos stared at his trembling hands, his breath ragged. I didn't mean to." Layla approached, her footsteps quiet but deliberate. "Fire does not care for your intent, Krystos. It cares only for what it can consume. I was doing it," he whispered, his voice hollow. "I was flying." "You were. But power, unbalanced, becomes chaos." Layla's tone softened as she crouched before him. "Air lifts you because you trust it. Fire will only obey when you do not fear it." Krystos looked up at her, his dark eyes glassy. "But it feels like it wants to burn everything." Layla touched his shoulder, her grip firm. "Because fire is raw. It is your passion, your anger, your soul laid bare. If you fight it, it will fight you back." She stood, extending a hand to pull him up. "Come, again." Krystos hesitated, glancing at the scorched earth and the blackened edges of the willow tree. Layla's voice broke through his doubt. "Mastery does not come without scars. Do not fear them. They are proof that you are trying." Krystos let her words settle within him as he rose. He turned his gaze back to the garden, the space that bore witness to his failure. His heart still pounded, the echo of fire and flight fresh in his veins. He exhaled, steadying himself once more. "I'll try again." Layla smiled faintly, stepping back. "Good. The air awaits you, Krystos. The fire will follow, but only when you lead." Krystos closed his eyes, feeling the wind begin to stir once more. The path to control was not through fear, but through trust. Trust in himself, and trust that he could become something greater than chaos.
It's in my bloodline, yeah. I was born with it.